Hi, it's another interesting tutorial. I'm Yinky. Welcome to my channel. I'll be teaching you how to make a 3D Zara cap in this tutorial. I really appreciate every one of you for your support all this while. I do not take it for granted. Thanks for all the support all this while, your comments, your likes and your shares. Thank you so much. The materials needed for this tutorial is the ashoke fabric, the mako, the crinoline net, the foam, the embellishment and also the gum. So here is my ashoke. The black material is called the mako and also the white is called the crinoline net. Here the foam is half of an inch that you need for this tutorial, and also you need your ashoke. Actually the ashoke is always 7 inches width and the length is the head circumference. I took 12 inches here, so my head circumference is 11.5, which is 13 inches. 11.5 on fold. So that 11.5 on fold will give me 23 inches. I'm sorry, 23 inches. It will give me 23 inches on when I'm not folding it. So I'll be taking the mako measurement right now. So I will deduce 2 inches from the measurement and I would be taking 21 inches length for my mako, which is also I'm going to use this mako to make sure my cap stand very well. So I'm taking 21 inches on the horizontal measurement. So here I'll fold the mako into two and also fold my ashoke into two after sewing my ashoke. So I have sewn my ashoke into two. So here I'll cut out my mako, and after cutting out my mako, the mako will be gummed inside the ashoke that has been sewn. So all you need to do is to run, you can even use your hand stitch to run a straight stitch on your ashoke. Fold your ashoke into two on the wrong side and hold the sewing allowance. If your sewing allowance is half of an inch, just hold it, and after you have done that, you're going to put your mako inside the ashoke. You can see the way I stitch the ashoke. You can also use your hand needle to do this if you don't have a machine. So after I have done that, I'll put my mako like so. So what I'm going to use to attach the mako is my gum. So this gum is a type of gum that shoemakers do use. So we call it a fostic gum in Nigeria. So that is what it's always in a bottle. So I pour it in this bottle and I'll just use it to gum the mako to the ashoke. So this is the part you're going to gum it is just after you have folded into two, you gum it to one side. So just gum it to one side, starting from the middle. So I'll just place it like so. So I'll continue to apply the gum this way. After applying the gum, I will allow it to stay for like 5 minutes for the gum to be able to stick with the material, with the ashoke. So I will allow it to stay for like 5 minutes. Then after then I'll bring it like so. Then fold my ashoke on it, on the mako. I'll just fold the ashoke on the mako, but make sure the middle is being matched with the middle so that everything will be accurate. So I'll go ahead and do this, fold it up like this. So the gum is sticky already, so you need to be very careful so that it will not stick on the wrong side. So I'll place the FO stick on the other side of the mako so that everything will gum properly. So after I have done that, I'll also leave this side for like 5 minutes or so for it to be able to stick with the fabric very well. So after leaving for like 5 minutes, I can come back and stick properly. I'll come back and stick it properly. So it's you can see it's firm now. Make sure there is no wrinkle. Make sure there's no wrinkle. Pull everything. Pull it very well. Make sure you pull it very well such that there is no wrinkle. So I'll go ahead and do this. Pull it very well and make sure there's no wrinkle. So the next thing to bring is the head cover. So there is no actual measurement taken here. All you need to do is to get the one that will be able to just sew your ashoke into tube. You know the width of the ashoke cannot carry the cover, so you need to sew like two of the ashoke, join it so that it will be wide enough to be able to cover the head circumference. So bring it out, just chalk it out, trace it out with the cap that you have gummed together. So after you trace it out, you can cut it with the sewing allowance of 1/2 an inch while you are tracing out. Then you cut another material for your lining to lining the inside of your cap. And after you have done that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut the crinoline. The crinoline will be cut with the black material, but later I reduce the circumference of the crinoline. I reduce the width of the crinoline. So I'll be cutting the crinoline net this way with the black material, and later I reduce the circumference. I reduce the circumference of the crinoline so that when you are sewing, you have enough allowance for sewing, because the crinoline may affect your sewing if you make it the same allowance with the lining. So the reason why I reduce that's the reason why I reduce the sewing allowance. So that's the reason why I reduce the width of the crinoline, I mean. So you place your hemming gum this way to be able to attach your crinoline. The crinoline is just to give you the hard structure so that it will be firm on the head cover. So that's the essence of the crinoline. So I'm going to place the crinoline on the lining, and later I use that same measurement of the crinoline to cut the 1/2 an inch foam. This foam is for you to be able to give you the type of fullness that you need on the head cover. So for it to be very full, when you're looking at it, it will look full, and it will give it that texture and structure on the head cover. So that's why we are putting this. So I'm going to put a gum, that same shoe gum. I'm going to put it on the foam and apply and place it on the ashoke. So I've placed the hemming gum, the crinoline net on the lining like so. What I did is that I ironed it with my hemming gum. I place it there, and also this is the ashoke. The foam is also on the ashoke already. You're going to place it this same way. Place it the way I place it, and the place I'm chalking now, I'll go and run a stitch on it round, stitch it together to become one. So I have stitched it together, and this is what I have. So you can see the way I'm placing it now. Now I want to cover the cap, so this is the way I'll be covering the cap. Just place the head cover like so on the cap, and you're going to attach it. You can use your hand needle, and here I'll first of all pin it down. While you are attaching it, you just place your pattern, the pattern on the ashoke. Consider the pattern on the ashoke the way you want it to be. Then after I have done that, I'll be attaching it with the 1/2 an inch circumference that I put there for my sewing allowance. So 1/2 an inch sewing allowance that is being put there is what I'll be using to attach the pin, to attach it together. So I'll go ahead and do this carefully. Until I'm done with the whole circumference of the cap. So I'll go ahead and do this carefully. That is why I told you, you can see everything I do here can be hand stitched. You can use hand to stitch it, but it will only take you some time. It won't be as fast as using a sewing machine, but you still get the same result if you use and if you don't have a sewing machine. That's why this is a DIY tutorial. So you can, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can still use your hand. So this is what we have. Then we now turn to the right side after we have done everything. So the sewing allowance can now be, you can use your bias for the sewing allowance. Here I'm trying to sew it. After pinning it down. I'll be removing the pin one after the other as I'm doing the sewing. So the sewing also can be tricky, but it is still faster than using my hand needle. But you can still use hand needle. Hand needle will be more convenient and neat. So I use a bias to pipe the inside, the sewing allowance, so that it will be neat. So after I have done that, turn it to the right side. This is what I have. So my gum has not dried yet. So when everything dried up very well, it won't be wrinkled, it will be so neat. So this is what we have. You can see the outside and the inside. So the next thing is the embellishing. So this is my 3D. But the reason why I call it a 3D Zara cap. So I'll be showing you how I made that 3D structures on the cap. So the 3D structure depends on the type of shape that you want it. So I want a leaf-like shape. I have cut the leaf-like shape the way I wanted it. I use my crinoline net and also my hemming gum to make it stand the way it's standing. So here is my shape, the shape that I've cut out. Then I'm going to use it to trim out the crinoline net. So you can see that we really use crinoline net in this tutorial. To give it the standing structure, I need the crinoline net. So I'm going to, the width is 7 inches long and 3 inches width. So if you may ask that what's the width of the structure. So here is the crinoline net. I'm going to cut it in stripes like this and place it like so. After placing the crinoline net, the hemming gum, I will now place the crinoline net. The hemming gum is used to attach the crinoline net. So I will use my steam iron to attach it, to gum it together. So I will use my steam iron to gum it together this way. And after I gum it together, this is what I have. This is what I have. And I'm using my chalk to trace out. Using my chalk to trace out like so. That's the sewing allowance. And I can go ahead now and stitch on my sewing machine. This also can be used, you can use your hand needle to do this also. So while you are stitching, you are going to leave a space here, so for you to be able to turn it out to the right side. So I left a space before I continue sewing to this angle. So here I'm going to trim off my sewing allowance to the barest minimum. So here you are going to go ahead and turn out through the space that you left. So make sure you leave a space. You can see that I only put crinoline on one of the structure, not the two. So that it won't be too hard for you to turn. So I'm going to use my scissors to bring out the edges and fold the sewing allowance like so. Fold it on each other, then stitch. So I'm going to stitch neatly. So you are careful here because Ashoke do fray a lot. So you need to be careful so that all your sewing allowance will not fray out. So I'll go ahead and stitch like so. So before you start sewing, to avoid fraying, you can use lights to reduce the fraying. Just use light to burn the edges, then go ahead to your sewing machine. So I'll go ahead and fold this in. I'm trying to make sure everything is neat. So I stitch like so. So this is what we have. This is what we have. And it's neat enough. So I will do like 5 pieces of this. I will do 5 of this. So after I have done the 5, then this is, I have done 3 already. I will do 2 more. And we are done with creating the structure, the 3D applique. Then the next thing is embellishment. So I have my bead and the pearl applicator. I'm going to apply the bead this way. Apply the bead on the edges. So the bead is just to design it. It's not compulsory that you use a bead. And this is the imitation of a cup chain that I'm going to use to also design the cap. So I'll first of all trim out like a strand. So the strand will be used to design the leaf-like structure. So I'm trimming now, I'm cutting out a strand here now. I'm cutting out a strand. The reason why I go for these trimmings is that it is cheaper than cup chain, and I needed to do this tutorial as fast as possible. So that's why here is my gum, the glue gun. This is a kind of candle wax gum, and it's hot glue that we also call it hot glue. So I use the hot glue gun to apply the glue, so it is faster. That's why I use this. You can also use a fabric gum, but a fabric gum will take time before it gets dry. So this is very fast, and it will also be neat by the time you do it carefully. So, and it also stays for long. So hot glue is very good and okay for this type of design. So I'll go ahead and apply the hot glue. but if you are not very careful, it can burn someone's hand easily. So you just need to be careful and be faster, because if you are not fast, it will stick immediately to get cold. When it's cold, it won't work again. So you need to apply it when it's very hot. So after I have done that, I will do it on all the structures. I will do this on all the structures. Use the cup chain imitation to design the edges like so. Use it to design the edges like so. I will just apply it. A little amount is what I'm applying. Just apply it according to the size of your cup chain. So you can see this is what we have. It's beautiful. So I'm going to place my structure, the 3D applique this way. I'll place it this way. I'm trying to see the one that is very beautiful, so I'm arranging it. There is no standard to this. Just make sure you do something that is fine. You can be creative about this. So the more you are creative, the more beautiful it will come out. So just place it in such a way that it brings out the beauty. And after I've done that, I'll use my hand needle to attach the 3D applique. So I'll attach it one after the other. Since I've gotten the design that I wanted, I'll arrange it with my hand needle. So I'll do the arrangement is what I'm doing with my hand needle right away, using my hand needle, but make sure the thread does not show on the right side. Whatever I'm doing is I'm hiding the needle inside the applique, not outside. So it can show at the back, but make sure it does not show at the front of the applique. So I have stitched the 5 3D applique together, and I will knot it so that none of it will fall off. And after knotting it, then I'll go and place it on my cap. So how to attach it on your cap? So you're still going to use your needle and thread to attach it on the cap. So here is where I'm knotting it. You're still going to use your hand needle to attach it on the cap. So here is the cap. So look at the center, the sewing line. I'll use it to cover it. You can place it this way. So the placing too depends on how you want it. You can place it standing up, bending, anyhow. Just make sure you're free about this. Be creative, like I told you. You're going to get something nice. So at the end of the day, I have placed it with my hand needle, and here I want to also place like a rose on. I'll use the ashoke to do the rose. So I'm using my cup chain imitation to protect the edge. Then I'm going to pleat this like this, just to make a kind of a rose. So to make it more beautiful, also it's beautiful already, but I just want to make it more beautiful. So here I will attach it this way with my hand needle. I'm going to do this rose and place it, knot it neatly and place it this way. So I'll be placing it on the edge like so. I'll be placing it on the edge like so. So since I noticed that it makes it more beautiful, that's why I'm placing it. Even if I do not place it, it is still beautiful. So here you're going to attach it with your needle like so. Attach it with your needle like so. You can use any material of yours. It's not compulsory that you use ashoke for this cap, but if you are using a satin material, make sure you put stay to give it a support. You are going to iron stay on all the material you are using. Iron stay so that it will stand. At least it will give it that kind of structure. But any material can be used depending on the kind of interfacing that you use on it. So if you use a good interfacing, you can use any material. So here I'll be placing my cup chain also here to design it on the circumference, on the head circumference. Just design it all round. So I use hot glue all throughout this tutorial. I use hot glue. So here I'm going to apply the hot glue like so. Then immediately I'll be placing the cup chain imitation. I'll be placing it, and also on the upper part I did the same thing. We are almost done with this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like and also share. And you can leave your comment in the comment section for any questions. If you want to ask me any question, I'm going to reply as soon as I see your question. Then I will see you in my next tutorial. Until then, take good care of yourself. Bye for now.